It's time for bookkeeping, beer, and BS. So, as you've gotten more into like coaching and speaking, how has your perspective changed from when you were running the operations of your own business? When you get that like insight into other people's businesses, how many like aha moments where you're just like, oh shit, that's what's going on? Like, man, I wish I would have like seen that from a bird's eye view of my own businesses back in the day. How do you think that's changed your perspective?
So, man, that's a great question. Essentially, when you're faced with looking at all the different things you've missed because now you see them being on the outside, one of the other important lessons I've had was looking at my business is I had to learn to be a better coach to my team, because all your team members needs a good coach, someone who can guide them and point them and ask them the right questions that makes them think, not someone that does everything for them. They won't learn anything if you're just doing the job for them. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the best leaders, they ask the best questions, and then they also give the best pep talk. And usually when they're giving the pep talk, it's more about the other person. It's not about what the owner needs. It's about like, hey, if we complete this on time, let's make it your goal to save this much money or to finish this time in the afternoon so you can be home for the family, or like the goals are more for that person than for the business. The best leaders I know in the industry and business owners are the ones that make it all about the employee. Mm-hmm. They have goals for the business. They keep track of that, but they motivate their team by talking about what's in it for them, right? When people know you care, they start caring, right?
It's super funny that you bring that up. One of my last leaders when I was in the corporate world was the worst at, he had a good financial plan, but it was super selfishly motivated. And and he couldn't even disguise it. Like when he was speaking and giving that like motivational talk, you could tell it was just all bullshit, because it would usually end with like, here's what I need you to do. And it was all like, here's what I need you to do for me to hit my bonus. And he would damn near say that verbatim. And it was just like, sweet, let's go get you your big ass bonus, which is more than I make in a salary in a year. Let me just run through a brick wall for you, man. Would love to do that. It just kind of cracked me up. The last couple, that was like the president of our business, and my manager was like kind of managed scared, like reported to him but managed me scared, and so like was just a relayer of that information. And I'm such a contrarian that I was just like, I couldn't handle it, because I was just like, man, I just want to do the opposite of whatever you guys are telling me, because I hate how you're leading me. Like I went from having like a really good leader that was just like, Dan, I trust you, I believe in you, let me know what you think we need to do, to like, here's exactly what you need to do, and you need to do it so I get a big bonus. And I was just like, man, I can't wait to leave the corporate world and join Blue Skies. Because there's just nothing worse than like the person that's leading you being like, this is all for me, here's what I need from you. You'd be like, okay, well, that sucks.
And that can be done in so many simple ways. Like, you don't have to give them a stake in the business or shares in the business, but you can give them a stake in the outcome just by, like, if you've ever read the book The Great Game of Business, right? Like by Jack Stack. If you're transparent about what you do and you start talking to them as in, what's in it for them. It doesn't always have to be on a financial level, but it does help if they understand, that it's not all net profit. But also if you give them a walk in your shoes, like you ask better questions, like if you say something like, hey, if you own the company, what would you do? And you're legit interested in hearing what they have to say, people will start looking at the owner in a different way. They're like, I think he really wanted an answer from me. Like, as in, he was interested in what I had to do, right? So there's many ways you can make the employees feel that the success is really about everyone and not just the business. So to me, that was a big lesson for me. I really learned that business is more about building relationships. And if you have employees, well, it starts there. And then if you have clients, great, because you'll need some to run the business. And then you'll have to do the same with them. And the more you nurture those relationships, the companies that I see, some companies, they offer the service once and they don't even bother reaching out again to those clients. So they miss out on reoccurring business because, well, for their own reason. Maybe they just don't have a system in place that reaches out again. But it's easier to get a past customer than a new customer.
It's way cheaper. From a finance guy's perspective, it's way more cost effective to serve an existing client.
So why are we not all doing it? But looking back, I wasn't the best at doing it either. But now looking in, I'm like, it's all about nurturing relationships. It's all about making it more about them than you as the owner. And the people I know who do that the best are the ones that are succeeding the most and growing the most. Don't you find?
Always, always.